Hey everyone, welcome to Reddit Readout. Today we are checking out Am I the A-hole? Story 1. AITA for accepting a ride to urgent care. I was in a car accident yesterday. I was stopped at a red light of the off-ramp of a highway when another car exiting hit me from behind going about 50 to 55. He was stretchered off but seemed to be conscious and responsive. I declined any medical assistance at the scene as none of my airbags deployed, and besides being madder than hell, I was thankfully okay. About 3 hours later, the adrenaline wears off and I'm having really bad back pain and a headache. My family was telling me to get checked out, but I had no ride. I had mentioned the accident to a woman I've been seeing lately, who I've known for a while, and she offered to take me. I thought it was a really nice thing to offer, and having no ride, I accepted. Flash forward to her picking me up. This is around 5 on a Friday, and after getting into the car, she is nuclear pissed off at me. She asks why I didn't just Uber, or ask someone else to give me a ride who was closer. For context, she lives in a neighboring town about 10 to 15 minutes away. I replied that, you had offered me ride, so I accepted. I was stunned as she had not indicated even the slightest annoyance at me to this point, or that this was something she did not want to do. The next 10 minutes involve me getting browbeaten for being inconsiderate, not thinking, and how literally anyone else should be doing this, or how I should have taken an ambulance, or my favorite, that 3 hours between car accident, tow, and walking home was sufficient to get a rental car sorted with my insurance. That car ride was arguably worse than the accident itself. I spent the entire time at the urgent care either choking up or outright weeping because of guilt, confusion, and possibly head injury. Thank you to the wonderful nurse who talked to me about my shirt to calm me down. I had asked her to leave and I would get a cab or something home like she wanted, but she stayed and we drove home in mostly silence until she dropped me off and meekly said, "Sorry you were in an accident, I hope you feel better." I said thank you and that I was sorry about all this. Am I the asshole here? Edit, ducking autocorrect. Story 2. AITA for not inviting people to talk about themselves. I want to start by saying that this conversation ended on what seems to be a good note. I don't want it to seem like I'm upset or angry at this person, just generally confused. Last year, I met this friend group through a shared interest. It was a local meetup group, so we made plans to have lunch and get to know each other, but it ended up only being me and one other girl, Jenny. At the time, she seemed kind of standoffish, but I figured she was one of those people who took time to open up, which is fine. I ended up doing most of the talking, as a result. Months pass, we start meeting up more often, and add another girl to the group, but over the course of 1.5 years, we met maybe 6 to 7 times. I did most of the talking every time. I remember trying to make an effort to ask questions, but they would always get turned around on me, so I'd end up talking even more. I was aware that I was monopolizing the conversations, but no one else ever offered up their own thoughts, so I just awkwardly kept talking. Keep in mind that we'd only met a handful of times, so again, I just assumed these girls weren't yet comfortable opening up. Again, fine. Fast forward to yesterday, I had been messaging the group every month or so, asking if they wanted to hang out. I've been bad at maintaining friendships in the past because I don't reach out as much as I should, so I've been trying to send messages here and there, not really expecting them to accept the offer every time, just letting them know I'm not ghosting them. For the past 8 months, Jenny has been busy, and knowing what her job is, I took her word on that and let it go. Yesterday we finally met up again, just me and Jenny. She said she had something she'd wanted to talk to me about for a while, so I agreed and we met up for coffee. I mentioned what had been going on with me, then asked her what she'd been doing. She gave a short answer, then asked me a series of questions, so I answered. Finally, she started the conversation she'd mentioned, and this is where the confusion starts. Jenny claims that for the entire time we've known each other, she has felt like I didn't have any interest in getting to know her because I never ask her about herself, and instead spend all our time together talking about me. Apparently, she knows all about my work and hobbies, but I don't know anything about her because she never has the opportunity to share, and she's trying to be a good friend by letting me know that I talk too much whenever we get together. Like I said, I know that I do all the talking, so that part didn't surprise me. What is surprising is this idea that I never allowed her to share about herself. I asked questions, maybe not as many as I could, but I definitely asked because I made a conscious effort to. No one else ever jumped in when we were having conversations. Was I supposed to just guess that she wanted to talk, even if she never said anything? AITA? Story 3. AITA for telling my friend I think she treats her niece too much like an adult. New to posting in on a phone, so please excuse any format issues. So I, 20 female, live in an apartment with my best friend, E, 21 female, while we're in college. Her niece, L, 15 female, wants to spend her Christmas break with us. Now I don't mind this stall, I love E's niece. The problem arises when we get to E and I's plan for New Year's. We both wanted to drink and maybe go to a party, which I don't think is appropriate to do with her niece. But when I mentioned it to E, she said L could still be with us, drink a little and party with us. I told I don't think it's a good idea, but E told me that it would be fine because we would both be there to look after L and she's really mature for her age. I told her it doesn't matter how mature L acts, she's still just a teenager and that E needs to stop treating her niece like she's an adult. I also mentioned my brother, who's a year younger than L, and about how I couldn't imagine doing any of these things with him. E told me I sound stupid and overprotective. She said I need to learn that they aren't babies anymore. Now she's barely speaking to me. It's making me wonder if she's right. Am I being dramatic and stupid? Am I just thinking of L like a child? Should I just drop it and agree to let L go out with us? I really need some outside opinions. Story 4. AITA for not wanting to go to my SIL on Christmas morning. AITA for not wanting to go to my SIL on Christmas morning? A little backstory. I 26F have been with my husband 27M for 5 years. His sister has 2 kids under 5. Ever since her son was born 5 years ago, we have gone to her house Christmas morning with his divorced parents and their significant others. We've been trying to get pregnant the past year and a half-ish. We love our niece and nephew, but it's a bit sad for us to be around them all the time right now. We want to start celebrating Christmas morning at home with each other, kids or no kids. We are happy to go to families in the afternoon or evening on Christmas, but they are not happy about this. They want everyone there, Mill, her boyfriend, Phil, and his wife, my husband's brother and his fiancé, grandparents, and us, Christmas morning to watch her kids open gifts. AITA for not wanting to go and wanting to start doing our own Christmas morning traditions? Story 5. AITA upset about sibling handout. A little background info. I, 35F, am a single parent to a 15-year-old. I own my home, have worked for the past 11 years as a registered nurse, and prior to that put myself through school on my own dime while raising a young child. I have no support from my daughter's father and do not receive any government assistance. Being a single parent and homeowner with sole custody, I am not rolling in dough, but I've made sacrifices to build a comfortable life for my daughter. Last year we took a trip with my father to Europe, of which I more than 75% funded. This year we are planning to do the same. I am funding over 75% again. My dad just had to pay for his plane ticket. My sister is also a single parent. She is some years older than me and has a 4-year-old daughter. My sister lives on 100% governmental assistance and has not worked a job in about 10 years. She lives with my parents and is dependent on them as well as the government. Needless to say, we could not be more different. I have always been tolerant and loving as I believe in family first, although a lot of our values are at opposite ends of the spectrum. Last month my sister decided to get passports for herself and her 4-year-old daughter, inserting herself into travel talks. She has no money or means except that which I previously explained. I can barely afford to take myself, daughter, and father on trips, and I mainly do this because my father beat cancer 2 years ago and has always expressed his desire to travel. My sister has now guilted my dad into paying for her and my niece to go on a trip in the future. AITA for being extremely annoyed about this. I feel like I've sacrificed and struggled a lot to be independent. My sister lives on handouts, although she could work or go to school, and feels entitled to travel overseas now that she has seen me and my daughter do it. AITA for thinking she is selfish and entitled? I've tried putting myself in her shoes, but it keeps eating at me that she has just guilted my dad into footing her bill while I have to work overtime, not to mention that she sees nothing wrong with assuming I want a 4-year-old traveling Europe with us. AITA? Story 6. AITA for taking it out of the money I help my mother for using the car and not putting gas. I, 22F, live with my mother. There are 2 cars at home, one for my mother and one for the house. I work and use family ILI car. Half of my salary I give to my mother, another part for gas and the rest for my bills. Example, 800 for my mother, 250 for gas and 550 to spare. But there isn't much left. The problem at home, normally I put 50 per week to use during the week, which is left over to use in case I need to go somewhere else. When the weekend comes, my younger brother comes home, uses it, leaves it at the minimum, and the same thing my mother does. When I need to use it in addition to the service, it is almost zero. My brother receives an allowance and my mother is able to supply it. I tried several times to talk to the 2 who were going to use it to refuel, because I didn't put all that amount for everyone to use and I didn't think it was fair for me to refuel twice to do my things because of them. Nothing has changed, my mother occasionally fills up, but she never talks to my brother about it. And no, it is not feasible to fill up every day because I live far from the gas station. I got tired after filling up 80 because on Saturday I was going to use the car a lot. On Friday my brother used it all on Friday. So every time I had to fill up again I deducted from the 800 I help at home. This month I gave 700 to my mother and she questioned why less, and after I said that it was for the amounts that I had to pay to use after they used it and it didn't help. She blew up on me, saying that I am entitled to the family car and that this was our arrangement to pay the bills and that if I don't want to spend too much on gas, I shouldn't use it so much. Well, we're not on good terms and nobody's on my side. Yes, we have the rule to use the car, fill it up. AITA? That's all for today. Please don't forget to like and subscribe.